Hello, welcome back to another episode of Somewhere Between a film and TV podcast. We're your host. I am Daniel Parra.
And I'm Erwin.
And number one, thank you so much for listening and watching. Number two, what are they going to do?
They're going to like, comment, and subscribe.
Please do. Erwin, I know that you got to be super excited for what we're about to talk about. What are we talking about?
We are going to talk about Kraven the Hunter.
Kraven the Hunter. I've said it already.
The name is so funny.
All of this is funny.
Yeah.
But were you craving a hunt?
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a little while. I've been.
I would say the first trailer.
Oh yeah. Okay. So we'll get into all of that, but just to preface everything.
First trailer when it came out like 3 years ago or something.
Dude, how long has it been? How long? Okay. So. Lots to talk about here. This is the final entry in the Spider-Man cinematic universe, minus Spider-Man.
Oh.
And
I want to go back and look at all these movies and count how many times they mentioned Spider, like anything Spider related.
I have seen them all,
there you go.
And I don't think you have.
I've seen Morbius.
No, you haven't. I'm not counting the GIF, but all right.
Watch the B movie.
everything we
every time
it's like
every time he makes a joke, it goes 10 times faster.
B-related joke.
Any B-related joke.
Oh. Just keep in mind, everything we review will always have full spoilers. Although I saw this movie made $4 million this past weekend. For us, sure. Yeah. For Sony, I don't think so.
No.
But with this movie, I gotta ask you. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere between?
I guess I'm going to have to say I hate it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I hate it.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
Okay, so this is going to be one of those things where I was hoping this movie was like this if it wasn't like good, because it's not, but it's terrible. I want to get that out of the way right now. It's really, really bad. But it's kind of funny. And it's like there's multiple moments in my theater people laughed out loud at.
There's a genre called one person army.
That's why
action.
I told you. I don't know. I don't know why that says that.
That's amazing. I'm going to look at this for a second. Go ahead.
With this movie, John Wick, yeah.
Dude.
What did you like about this? Is there anything that, outside of irony reasons, is there anything that you like legitimately liked that you thought was good?
Aaron Taylor Johnson as just him. I don't know about Kraven. The character Kraven. I know he played Kraven.
Krazen?
He was Krazen in this movie. The action scenes, they were pretty fun to watch. They weren't, I don't think they were great or anything. Yeah. I just thought they were like, when they happened, I was like, oh cool, like I'm interested in this movie again.
Yeah.
But it was ever so rarely in it too.
So, you know how
I liked the guy, what's his name?
Alexi?
Alessandro Nivola. I liked him on screen every single time. I'm not gonna. He just, I guess he knew what type of character, or like, he just played it so cheesy that I was invested anytime he saw on screen.
He was from a different universe, and I'm not even making a multiverse joke. I just mean like this actor, totally different plane of like seriousness than everybody else, because everyone is like a prestige actor here, because Aaron Taylor Johnson, there's also Russell Crowe and Ariana DeBose, which oh my god we'll get into, but then Fred Heckinger from Gladiator earlier this year too, so there's a whole lot of talent involved that made me kind of confused. J.C. Chandor directed this, the guy who directed All Is Lost and A Most Violent Year, which are great movies by the way. And so my positives are a little bit similar. I thought the first opening, like the opening of this movie,
the prison,
I liked, like genuinely.
Yeah.
I was
and then
like,
it cuts completely off.
The moment it cuts to 16 years earlier, I got so bored so fast, and I was wondering how long that flashback was going to take.
It was one of those moments where maybe having the past integrated into the present could have benefited the movie itself, but the fact that it just stopped, the movie itself just stopped being interesting once it went back to the past.
No, because then he gets on the helicopter, and then once the whole thing's done, he's back on the helicopter. So I was like, so no time has passed at all. You just wanted to show us this for the sake of showing us this, and you're right. They could have just like intercut that, because all of it together, his origin doesn't really make sense, and I I want to clarify this character in particular. Did you know a lot about Kraven, the Spider-Man villain, before?
No, not much. I just knew that he enjoys hunting.
Yeah.
He loves animals, I'm assuming.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Well, he hunts them.
Yeah, he hunts them.
This is the big spin on the character in this one, is that he's more of like an animal rights activist instead of like hunting. Because in here he hunts. So you have the Kraven's Last Hunt, that poster over there. I think this character, that's one of the greatest comic book stories ever. I've read it. It's incredible. I think Kraven is an absolutely phenomenal villain.
Does he become Spider-Man?
Yeah, for a while. And, well, just like it's a whole thing. It's like an issue or two. But that's more of the Doc Ock thing that they did. Mm-hmm. But the game, Spider-Man 2, that came out most recently, if you want an actually good interpretation of the character, watch that. Or watch gameplay or play it, because it is phenomenal. Yeah. And the villain in that Kraven is just the best. Yeah. But here, if I didn't know this character that well, and if I wasn't attached to him, I wouldn't know what this dude's deal was. Yeah. I wouldn't know like why people understand or like this character, because the whole point, it's why I still felt like, as okay as the Venom movies are, what they're missing is the reason why Venom literally exists in the first place, and it's the counterbalance of Spider-Man fighting his own demons or whatever it may be. Yeah. And Kraven is supposed to provide that ultimate idea of hunting down like your loved ones, essentially, and that dynamic that Spider-Man's always fighting. So with him missing, I still thought that, like, of all the trailers, of all the ones that were not Venom related in this Sony cinematic, whatever the hell you want to call it, this was the one that I thought was like the best trailer at the very least, because it seemed like the one that could be the most, I don't know, a movie. Mm-hmm. and I guess, to be fair, it is, because it's better than Morbius and it's better than Madam Web.
I haven't seen those two movies.
But what the fuck does that mean? Yeah. If a movie's better than those two?
I don't know, even just comparing it to, because I've seen the other 3 Venom movies, and those movies were okay as well. And I don't even know. I don't know. I can't even think, like, if maybe it's on par, like the same as quality-wise with Venom.
I don't know. Those movies at least have
Venom's, but then again, it's like anytime Venom was on screen, I enjoyed it, because every time Kraven was on screen, I was like, okay, like, it's Aaron Taylor Johnson, I like him, so I'm able to watch this movie. Because the same thing with Tom Hardy. Every time Tom Hardy was on screen, I was like, oh, cool, like, I enjoy this. But then it's him talking to himself. So.
I think that's my whole thing with this, whatever the fuck you want to call it, like, because they recently released their whole interview thing with Sony, where they were saying that they were like, hey, so we actually could have used Spider-Man this whole time. We just chose not to, because we thought that people would be confused by it. Which is why people are like, oh, so you were just making shit movies for the love of the game, I guess.
Wait, I'm confused. Like, don't they want to make money?
So, I don't know. Because
I'm like, so neat.
So, yeah, we're going to be making the worst movies of the year list later on. And I want to shout out Avi Arad for being behind basically everything I hated this year.
Oh, my God. I don't
behind, like, Borderlands, Madam Web, this. Like, he's been on a hot streak, so... Yeah. Good luck to all the people that are looking forward to Naruto and what's the other one?
He's making live action Naruto?
And Legend of Zelda, so...
Oh, that sucks.
Let's see how that goes whenever they come out. But back to this, I also agree with you. I think that the action... I like when he starts home aloneing people in the third act, but then instantly it gets bad with the Rhino. I didn't like the Rhino performance.
Dude, the Rhino performance was so funny to me. I can't.
You liked it. I was more just so like, this guy's getting on my nerves. I don't understand like what what's going on.
I mean, he was barely in the movie. Rhino himself.
I don't know what this movie's time management was, that I felt like Aaron Taylor Johnson wasn't in the movie as much as he was supposed to be.
I didn't think he was either, even though... I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that it was the past too that took up a big chunk of Aaron Taylor Johnson's performance in this movie too. Yeah, but it's also the movie itself.
I don't know if the movie itself was just so like not interesting ever, except for the fact that I think that there are so many funny lines in this movie. I got lucky. I saw it with a crowd of people that very clearly like were having fun with it, in the sense of like, this is stupid as fuck.
Yeah.
But I don't know how like your crowd was with that.
I think some people just chuckled.
Yeah.
So
someone busted out laughing at something, and it was like not even that funny to me, but I was just like, look, different things people find funny. Like, I couldn't help it. I don't ever want to be rude at the theater and be an asshole if somebody's liking a movie, but when the guy who plays the rhino hisses at nothing, I was just like, okay, I don't understand, but
yeah, I don't know. What about the foreigner? What did you think about him?
I thought that the line of dialogue where he's first introduced and he's talking to this guy, because his whole thing is he's supposed to show up and be cool, right?
Yes.
He's got the sunglasses on, and then he's like 1, 2, 3. They never explain his powers other than the fact that he counts.
Yes.
The idea is cool, though. I'll give them that. Obviously, they didn't come up with it. He's probably a comic book character, one that I've never fucking heard of.
I've never heard of this character.
And I like...
Maybe I've heard him in like the Lego Marvel superhero
game.
Yeah,
no, I like, at least with Spider-Man and Batman, I know the deep cuts of stuff, so if I don't know who that is...
I don't.
But the line where he says... Oh, fuck, I told you what it was. He was like, what did he say?
Oh, I'm not from around
here?
Yeah,
they call me the foreigner because I'm not from around anywhere. I was just like, who asked you that?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense though, because like you clearly came from somewhere, but somewhere here on the
no,
corner,
it doesn't make sense.
Understand.
But the other thing is, if you have to explain your own name to someone, like I think that there's a problem. And
they call you Kraven the Hunter.
No, and then, oh my god, they do say shit like that. Yeah. No, but whenever he goes, I prefer Kraven. To what?
Craving what?
There's so many lines like that, and I don't know what you thought of Russell Crowe in this movie.
It was there.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Russell Crowe, but in this movie, he just felt he was just there. I don't know. It's just like there was nothing to him.
They made that mistake I always complain about, where they keep telling me somebody's awful or terrible, and then don't show me ever why they are, and then. There's a scene with Fred Heckinger and Aaron Taylor Johnson where he says, "You're worse than our father." It's towards the end of the movie. I'm like, is he? I don't know.
I don't know. I've seen Aaron Taylor Johnson kill like 30,000 people in this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, they were all bad guys, so is he really a bad guy? Like, Sony, for some reason, and this doesn't help that we just reviewed The Penguin not too long ago.
Yes.
That they, like, can't help but try and make their villains anti-heroes when they don't have to do that.
They don't have to.
And... like, I think that...
the Penguin's just a bad guy.
He's just not a good dude.
Like the Terrifier.
Yeah. He's just like... he holds the door. Like, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, right?
Killed an entire family next day.
When did that... No.
The day before?
I mean... Did he say sorry? He can't talk.
No.
But
he just smiles, eats their cookie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's playing the part. But... with the action in this, that's the thing that we said previously, that like, if that's at least all right, and to be fair, it is, except for when it gets CG heavy, I thought it looked...
my god, dude. Anytime they showed any type of animal,
oh my god.
Okay, there was one scene. There was one scene where, you know how his eyes changed colors and it looked like it was like pitch black.
Oh, I like that actually.
That scene was like, like that shot alone, I was like, that looked great.
Yeah.
That was it. I can't think of anything else in this movie. I was like, but that's it.
No, I remember when they did that, I was like no, cool. And then he walked.
And then the movie continues, and you're like, okay.
You're like, you know.
I forgot where I was for a second.
You're like, oh, I thought that I was watching something very cool for about 1 minute.
Yeah.
Oh my god, no. I want to complain about, like, remember we used to be easy on CG.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point. It gets to a point where... I like how this movie's called Kraven the Hunter, and he's got lion-based powers, and anytime an animal shows up in this movie, they all look terrible.
Yeah.
Every single time. That lion looks horrendous. There's a scene where he, like, is dying in the flashback, and then they start showing these, like, weird-ass cuts to I don't know what.
It's like like talking about, like, in his body and everything?
Yeah, and then there's, like, a roar of a lion, and there's, like, shots of nature, and I was just like, what the fuck are we doing?
I can't. It looked terrible.
I was on, you know, what the telltale sign for me was, actually, that I was like, oh, I know what I'm in for, was, I like the beginning.
Yeah.
But when they, like, intercut a shot of a lion roaring, and then show the title, I was just like...
Here we go.
I was like, just dumbfounded it. Thinking, I don't know how these movies, sometimes the editing process is with these, but you're starting to like, because we've seen Catwoman.
Yes.
And I think that this is the male equivalent of Halle Berry's Catwoman in the sense that it's like...
Almost there. I think it's almost there. It's just the way it was shot, though. It's definitely better than Catwoman.
Yeah, no, better, but the same weird problems, the same like weird editing, the same funny animal scenes. I kept reminding myself that this has happened before, and it felt a lot like that. Don't get me wrong, Catwoman is worse, but this one was just so funny when certain things would happen. Like... Aaron Taylor Johnson, there's a scene with him where he's like scaling a wall.
Oh, yes.
And it looked straight from Spider-Man 2002, like the PS2 cut when they're like climbing.
Yeah.
At least that, like, explainable because it's older.
Yeah.
But I think that with this is the first one of the entries in the universe you've seen that's not Venom, right?
Basically.
Okay. Because I get why nobody's...
They made a reference to the Daily Bugle.
Oh, yeah, that's it. You know, that it was funny they didn't make a reference to any of their other entries.
Hey, maybe that doctor in New York.
Can you talk about that, please? Because I don't understand.
They said it like 4 or 5 times, like the rhino and the chameleon.
Yeah, oh yeah, right,
Yeah, the chameleon. They both mentioned like this doctor in New York that they did experiments on in order to like make them stronger.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just funny because they never expand on that as well.
They say it so many times.
They just say the fact, like, New York.
And then I'm like, is that supposed to be a Spider-Man reference because they're in New York? And I kept thinking...
Dr. Morbius?
No, I kept thinking that they were going to say Dr. Michael Morbius, and I, like, at least, even that would have been fan service to no one.
Yeah. But, everyone, didn't the Vulture show up in Morbius?
Yeah, in the end credits scene.
Yeah.
And... never showed up again, and he says, I think it has something to do with Spider-Man, and then he fucks off, and the movie ends right there.
Oh,
so
I gotta see those movies.
No,
Madam Web and Morbius back to back.
I mean, I guess if you were to take like all 6 of these and marathon them, you would not have...
Whenever I see the Walmart, like 6 Sony-verse movies in one.
Oh yeah. Did you think that this was a true final installment in a series? Did it feel that way to you?
All these are standalone. There's no way they're all together.
That was...
Wait, what was it? Wasn't it in Morbius, like the trailer, they referenced Venom?
Oh, yeah. What
did they say?
They say, he's like, we are Venom or something in the trailer, and then it's not in the movie.
No, I'm not.
But, okay, with our negatives, I guess, if we want to transition into that.
We've been talking about the negatives.
I know, but like very specifically.
Okay.
Do you have anything that you're like outright like...
Oh, like it was terrible?
Yeah.
For sure the acting on everybody's part, because there were some moments, definitely more than others, but there were so many scenes that were just so flat.
Yeah.
And it didn't help with the editing. First off, when like it would just you're in the middle of a conversation and then it just cuts off to the next scene.
Yeah,
and you're like, "Whoa, what just happened?"
It's just over.
Because the one that made like I laughed out loud and like others laughed out loud too was whenever Ariana DeBose's character.
Oh my god, yeah.
Escapes from her building.
Oh,
and like
right.
lands with or meets up with Kraven.
Yeah.
And I guess like they first interacted like the airplane, like where the airplane was.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. And then
it cuts.
Yeah.
That part annoys me because I still think about it right now, and I'm like, it annoys me.
There was one part with her that annoyed me, and it was whenever she was like, it was in the third act, and she says something to him. She's like, "We all have our secrets" or something, and then the way he looks at her, he's just like, Like I don't know what Aaron Taylor Johnson's really going for, and this is an actor I like a lot. And he switches his accent every other scene, and it's not even to be like the hunter or whatever the hell that they're trying to do. It's just that he sometimes switches from like sounding like a valley dude from California to being like way more stoic, and he keeps going back and forth. And there's this one moment where he like falls off a truck, and then he's like, haha, ow, and it's just like... And I was like, okay.
Oh, I liked when the rhino goes, Kraven! That was
when they're in the middle of the stampede. If we're going to get into one positive, outside of like, I can very specifically tell you the action scene that I liked all the way through, and it's the chase in London.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was full on cool. Like, I thought that, no complaints there. And the kind of naturey Home Alone thing with him, even though that doesn't really make sense because Russell Crowe's character is like, I know that you use the ways of the hunter. I'm like, what do you mean? He just set up a bunch of fucking bear traps.
The way of the hunter.
Like, you think that he's gonna see people like set bear traps out in public? He's like, my son was around.
sees some random guy like jumping through buildings. That's my son.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
We're just at a point now where Kraven, his powers. I think you need a little bit something more than what this superhero does. Because let's be honest, I mean, he's not a villain. No. They didn't go that route again with this. And there's just not a whole lot to him. There's not a whole lot to anyone. And my negatives are a positive in the funny way. The dialogue is so bad.
It's so bad.
And there's so many different moments where they say stuff, and it's one of the funniest things you've ever heard because they say it so seriously. And I told you, with the scene with Fred Heckinger, where, first off, he does this like thing where he can imitate anybody's voice, and I was not anticipating a Harry Styles song to show up in this movie, but it does.
Hey, that was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that was pretty. Like,
I like that idea. I think that's a cool idea, like to be able to imitate anybody's voice.
Oh yeah, and every time he did, or like the voice was imitated, I was like, is that really?
I don't think so.
Is that really him doing it?
I'm pretty sure.
No, it's not. Just like, right? Because it's too good.
Yeah, I mean, I
mean, then again, he does become the chameleon.
No, and the thing was. Because if you don't know who that is beforehand, you sure as fuck will know it when they say it. Yeah. Because they're like, I've always been some kind of chameleon.
Oh, dude, the way like, I wanted just to rip my throat out because I was like, what? And then the worst part was at the end. I can't.
Oh, I like that's what he looks like. But
yes, God, he looks like that. But it's just not. That does not look good.
Oh wait, the actual like the white.
Yeah.
I thought my problem wasn't that. My problem
was just all of that.
My problem was like the 4 foot. Sorry, I'm not gonna be mean to Fred Heckinger. I don't know how tall he is, but like the Aaron Taylor Johnson being compressed.
Yeah,
he looked so funny.
And the body itself just smaller.
Because he looked so much like whenever they do stuff in shows where they shrink the...
Yeah, that looked like the Captain America, the First Avenger, where Chris...
that looked good, though.
Dude, it looked bad.
In Captain America?
Yeah, have you not seen... Okay,
I've seen it recently.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look great, because it looks obvious that his head was placed...
Because his head is huge, yeah.
And so that's how it looked.
Dude, I just thought he looked tiny. I was like, why'd they do that? Like,
you would think that as a chameleon, he could just shape his body and just put yourself, Aaron Taylor Johnson, right there, and then
and then regardless. He's like, and then he says, "You should see your face right now," and then you're like, "Yeah, because you look bad." And like, get fixed in your CG department, honestly. But it's a dialogue, and I'm gonna be mean to everybody. Everybody's performance is bad.
Yeah, it's
but specifically, I don't know what's going on with Ariana DeBose in this, but she gets the worst of it. There's so many different lines with her where I was just like, why did you what?
Yeah,
and there's different faces she makes too.
Yeah, but also just her character.
Yeah,
they did her character so dirty, just because they try to introduce her character in the beginning of the movie as somebody. It seemed like very integral to the story.
Yeah.
Too, but then they completely just knocked it away later on, and only has her around just to revive Kraven again. And that was it. And I don't know. It's just like they casually, like, he mentioned like, "Oh, my grandma died," and then you're like,
"Okay, no, you know what? Somebody else has pointed it out, but I want to talk about that very specific line of dialogue because she says, oh, what is it? She says, my grandma died shortly after that trip, and I never saw her again." And I was just like sitting there, like, I mean, that's how
death works.
Yeah, that's how it would work, right? Like, and then they're doing all this. I don't know, because they're doing this all like mystic stuff with the tarot cards, and I don't understand what they're going for. But here we are, critiquing Kraven the Hunter, the 6th entry,
and final.
In the final one,
was there an after credit scene?
No.
Thank God. I left. The moment it was over, I was like, thank God I'm leaving.
I just kind of sat there, and I did that thing that people do sometimes where you look around to see like how everybody else is doing, and I don't know, to be entirely honest with you. No. But I thought that there were a couple jokes that worked that were like genuinely funny. I couldn't tell you what they were off the top of my head, but
I don't know.
overall,
I would buy this but not the movie. I'm saying like all 6 movies, the Sonyverse movies, as like a bundle.
Yeah.
And just watch them. Like I feel, it's like
angry.
I feel angry right now. I'm gonna watch these movies to feel better.
Overall, I would ask you what you would rank these, but you haven't seen them all.
No, I still need to see Madam Web.
So, because I mean, let's do that really quick. The ones that you've seen, how would you put this?
I think I like Venom 2 out of all of them.
The most?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
And then, I don't know if Venom The Last Dance, probably just because the song choices in that one.
Over the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't really remember the first one as much. And so then I would probably choose Venom.
Yeah.
After, then Kraven.
Okay. Because that one is clearly the worst. That's the one you gave I'm assuming you gave a not passing score to.
Yeah, I didn't.
So for me, I've seen them all. Thank you, Madam Web, for bringing our podcast back in the first place.
Let's go.
But number 6, Madam Web, 100%. Awful.
100% Run.
Yeah, what's that? What, like 9% on Rotten Tomatoes? But that one, or 13, I don't know. That one is the worst. That one is so not a movie out of all of these. It's the funniest and the most annoying. Number 5, Morbius, which I hate a lot, but it's more boring than it is anything else. And I hate Jared Leto. Number 4.
I love that joke though, where everybody hates Jared Leto.
Yeah, it's not a joke for me.
Well, I mean, I understand why people hate him.
Yeah,
like, I don't like him as.
He's got no charisma either. Yeah. Number
whenever he tries to be likable.
Oh yeah, you're like,
stop! Well, we know what you're doing.
It's like, dude, cut it out. Like, you're not fooling anybody. You're like, where's your island at? I know you have one. Number 4, this one. I mean, this movie's terrible too. And then the Venom movies. Well,
the fact that there's 3 of them.
Yeah,
that's impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
I've been very nice to them because they each have something, and I love the character, and it's really annoying actually to love that character and have to deal with 3 of those movies.
Yeah.
But number 3, I think, is probably I don't love that second one like everybody else. People don't even love it. I think it gets on my nerves the most of those 3.
The second one?
Yeah.
But what about the after credits scene?
I don't remember
It was
where he's Spider-Man, and then it turns out they don't actually
meet whatsoever.
Yeah.
He's like, looks at the TV.
Number 2 is probably The Last Dance. We reviewed it. It's whatever.
Yeah.
And the first one, I guess Venom, which is also whatever.
I think probably the first one, just because it made $1 million or $1 billion.
Made $1 million. Like,
that's a lot of money.
That's less than this one. But we love Spider-Man.
We could have had Spider-Man, but we just chose not to. That's
because
a crazy statement.
They set up it really well. The story, Mysterio reveals his identity. Kraven hunts him. That's great. That's perfect. And for some reason, they were like, but what if we don't?
What if we don't?
But overall, what'd you think?
Dude, no. 2 out of 5. I gave
2
it 2
out of 5. I thought this movie was really bad, but I feel like there's some kind of drinking game you could make out of this.
Yeah.
But don't see it in a theater. I highly recommend you watch it with a bunch of people, tune out when it gets super boring, and then laugh when something funny happens.
Yeah.
It's that type of movie, and I do recommend it for that. And I gave it a worse score than that, even though I didn't hate watching it. That's like my biggest compliment I could give it, but I did give it a 1.5 out of 5 because this movie is fucking horrendous.
Yeah.
And that's about it for us. Thank you, Sony, so much for nothing. And
I can't. I wonder what they're gonna do now. Just focus everything on Spider-Verse. Hopefully.
No, you know what they said? They said that they are going to take this seriously, and they are rebooting the Spider-Man cinematic villain universe.
I want to kill myself. I can't. What do you think they're gonna start off with?
Kraven 2 for us.
For us only. Oh, watch it be another Venom movie.
Make Venom 4.
No, I'll just do a whole reset of Venom. Oh my god.
But it was Tom Hardy again.
Tom Hardy and Venom again? Oh,
they're like, dude. Could you imagine they did a casting announcement and they were like,
Tom Hardy plays Venom.
Like,
Wait a minute, guys.
Madam Web 2.
You know.
You know what sucks? We're never gonna get that Bad Bunny El Muerto movie.
Oh yeah, that's true. There were so many announcements that they made.
Yeah.
What was another one?
I don't remember any of the other ones. Oh, what's her name? The social media one that's in the game. There's this one villain that uses like her whole thing, her whole gimmick is that she is on like TikTok and stuff, and they wanted to make a movie of that because like of course they did.
Yeah.
But the idea sounded kind of cool, but I mean, that's being nice.
Yeah.
But overall, we didn't like it.
No, not at all.
I think we were even nicer than some people about it too, and we gave it really low scores.
Yeah.
So, what's up next?
I don't know. Lord of the Rings.
War of the... If you want to pronounce it with the Rohirrim. Or Rohirrim. However you want to say it. But, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. And we will see you next time.